Welcome to Attican Plays Pharaoh, A New Era. All right, hi, this is Attican, and welcome to Series 1, Episode 28 of our playthrough Pharaoh, A New Era, the campaign missions. And as you start them, as we watch me just start diving into the play, I want to start out with a bit of a vent. This is the third time that I've made Episode 28. Later on, you'll see, if you stick with us, Episode 29, which will be the third time I've made that. And Episode 30, the third time I've made that. And why is that? Well, it took me a while to, first of all, I just had to learn that I'm not playing Pharaoh. This is not Pharaoh. This is Pharaoh, A New Era. It is different. It does not have the same rules, the same setup, the same things as Pharaoh. It has many of the same things. We're playing the same missions. The maps are extremely similar, almost identical. It's the same stuff, the same housing, the same bazaars, right? But when it comes to culture, the rules have really changed. And we're not going to go into the old game that much because, again, we're not playing Pharaoh. We're playing Pharaoh, A New Era. And but for a little bit, it's worth comparing. In the old game, for entertainment, for example, if I had adequate number of facilities, if I had the right number of dance platforms, the right number of jugglers booths, the right number of bandstands, given the population that I was trying to support, I would get my culture rating. This is all about culture rating. This whole thing, and in fact, this whole build, and what you'll see is the strategy and the blocks we use and everything. It's all about culture rating. And the thing is that, as I said, in the old game, if you had those things, you were good. You didn't have to run a single show. You just had to have them, and that gave you the coverage. In this game, you absolutely must have the coverage. That folks have to show up and do those shows. What they're doing is using a coverage model that looks at actual execution. How many people are actually being entertained at a moment, so to speak. Same thing with education, with your scribal schools. It used to be that if you had a scribal school in all of your blocks, which is the way I tend to build all my blocks because I take them all up to at least common residence, then you were covered on that aspect of it. Not anymore. There has to be a coverage based on the number of students that you have, and the students are a percentage of your population. It varies. It could be as much as like 50% of your population could be children that need to be educated. So you have to look at the capacity of the school and see how that works, right? So you might have to have a lot of schools. You might have to have extra libraries. You might have to have whatever. The numbers are the same as they used to be. How many a school can support 300 children, a library can support 800 residents, a Senate House can support 5,000 residents. All that. Those things are the same. However, you have to have them active, so to speak, or you have to have that capacity. So that's what's different about the schools. The entertainment, you have to have the active participation, all that stuff. So Johnny Hughes and I have had a bunch of discussions about that. He was playing ahead, dealing with the culture and observing what was happening. I was hanging on to my old beloved Pharaoh, and my old beloved Pharaoh's gone, from this point of view, as far as culture is concerned, and just got to move on and deal with it. So what I've done here is, and the reason I had to shoot the episode so many times is I kept trying to play it the old way, and it just, it wasn't going to work. So I finally said, you know what? Let's get ahead of this. Let's not get behind. Let's not allow this to keep us from doing a good job here. I did a redesign. I took a block by someone else. I'll look it up. I think it's Caesar Dave or Caesar Allen, something like that. I took one of his blocks and modified it to make it kind of supercharged with entertainment, and you'll see that later. And then we'll go from there. So okay, so enough of that. So we started playing, as you can see, and our goals are to have a population of 7,500, a culture rating of 60. We have to do 6 stately manors. We have to have a prosperity rating. I think it's 60, something like that. We'll probably be 100, and we have to have a kingdom rating of 85. I think it is. So if you take all that together, a couple things. That culture rating is the highest one we've attempted so far in this playthrough, and we're going to, as I said, deal with that. And the kingdom rating. The problem with the kingdom rating, our 4 gods are all 4 except Ra, and Ra's your kingdom guy, your kingdom rating dude. So they're forcing me to do something I haven't done in the series so far, and that's use a family mansion. But that's good because that's part of the game, and I should be using them. So this time we will eventually put down a family mansion to make sure we can get our kingdom rating, and you'll see how later on if you're brand new to the game. So what have we done here? Okay. Nothing's changed. Number one goal is money, money, money. First thing we have to do, make sure we have got an income. Taxation is not going to cut it early in the game because the junk housing is not going to pay enough taxes to keep you afloat. You're going to go broke. So what we're doing is setting up our first export. Actually, for the main part, I think maybe our only export will be linen. So our goal is to do linen and then get on taxes. So our linen, Dakla Oasis will take 4,000 linen a year. And that was the best thing we had out there to export. We can grow the flax, we can make linen. So what you saw over there at first was the creation of a linen industry. We're just putting in one of those medium senator worker blocks in a central area where we can build around it and have our main industry site there. So now we can house our industry, and we can do strong linen. We've got a lot of flax farms, and we'll eventually have 8 weavers to support it. Now here's the kind of new design for a big housing block that will really support a lot of culture, a lot of entertainment. So, and you'll see. I don't need to tell you you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to shut up and let you watch it being built, and then I'll come back when there's something we're talking about. Now, one of the keys to this mission is fulfilling as many requests as possible. You saw me put down pottery. What we're going to do is, if we can make it, we're going to make it, right? Anything that we can are able to produce, that we have kind of the quote technology unquote for, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it early and not wait until we have to have it, because we're going to try to get ahead of the request as much as possible, as much as practical, because we are Pharaoh. Everybody's going to want something from us, and we just have to be ready. You even saw a second linen there. I put that down because you get a blessing from Toph. He wants to fill up a linen storage yard for us. Well, sure, go right ahead, Toph. We will not complain if you do. And we got a bunch of flax fields down so that we can get the flax going and keep the linen busy. And now we're switching over and putting in grain farms so that we can feed people, certainly, and grow our population, and we need to feed them and keep them healthy. But at the same time, we're going to produce the grain. The grain's going to allow us to do cattle meat. The cattle meat is another potential, it's just another thing we can make, so we're going to make it. And we're going to start setting up the grain farming here. And that's what's going on right here. And the other thing you saw was the block being built up, and it's not quite ready to show you kind of exactly the whole thing, but you kind of get the idea. Some of you probably already figured out what's going to happen up there, but we'll come back to that in a minute. I just wanted to say that we're going to try to stay ahead of requests and do stuff like that. That's why that clay is there. It's not the clay in the pottery. It's not that we necessarily we want to, of course, provide pottery to our citizens and allow the houses to evolve. But actually the main reason right this moment for doing that is to get ahead of any potential requests for pottery, because it's one of the things that we can make. And some of you might be thinking, oh, well, he's played this through. This is his third time playing this, and he knows pottery's coming from. No, I played it exactly like this the first time and the second time. Got the pottery quickly as I could. You'll see cattle meat, get the meat as quickly as I can, take advantage of that straw we're producing, all that good stuff. It just, again, our strategy is to export linen to fund us early, and to, if you can make it, and then we're going to try to evolve our houses quickly and get into taxes. And our main source of income for most of the playthrough will be taxes. And there you can see we sold some, and I was a little shocked here. We've only sold 3,600, and for some reason that guy only bought 400. Makes me think that, well, unless that 3,600 plus his 400 makes 4,000. Maybe that's it. Maybe it hadn't caught up yet. Maybe that's it. Let's just say that, yeah, that kind of sounds like it could be true. We'll say that's it. And I wanted to just double check myself to make sure I wasn't going to burn something down, have something collapse on me, whatever. So I'm trying to go through all the risks and make sure that I got everything covered. And well, I'm glad I did, because I haven't put a courthouse up here yet. Do that, and then we can watch the courthouse get staffed, and then see it as the judge goes around, then everything law and order prevails, and everything's good. So we got that covered, and I just went through that with all the risk overlays just to make sure that we were good at this point. Now we're setting up our dock area. We're setting up an area where we can have a lot of storage, taking it back to us 2 tiles from the shore, so we have space to put a dock down whenever we're ready, and we're just trying to set up really some space for some more storage so that we can have a place to put all that grain that's going to come out, we hope, next year. We kind of planted it at the end of the season, so it'll be ready for next year. And you can kind of see there's one recruiter down there for a clay pit who's going out the wrong way. He's going out into the farm, into the floodplain to recruit. So eventually I catch that. But anyway, back over here. Here's our main, our first big area that we're trying to fill up with people. And they're all kind of living in slums right now, but that's okay. Eventually it'll be very nice over there. So so we're going to set up some storage, take in the grain and take in the straw, and go from there. So we've had a request for pottery. We were able to fill that, and we've had a request now for meat, and we're in good shape on that because we've got the ability to take in that straw. So we're going to set up some cattle ranches here, and they will be able to take that meat. They'll be able to take the straw that's coming from our fields over here. We've just gotten the harvest, and produce the meat. And we've got a storage yard set up for it so we can produce the meat and hopefully fulfill this. I don't remember if we get them both, but we'll do our best. And even though we sent west the pottery they requested, they still fell to the enemy. What are you going to do? Now we're starting to set up our first entertainment. So we're going to put this particular block is designed to have a pavilion and a juggling booth. So we need all three types of entertainers to come in there and do performances. And what we're really focusing on here now is just evolving that block. We want that block to evolve and give us some more head count and just give us some more room for people. And now if we look at our gods, Bast we've hit that 1,000 mark. Bast is not happy. So we've got what we've done earlier was we've got two temples to Bast. Bast is unhappy, so of course I'm going to delete the temple to Bast. No, it was temporary all the time. That rectangle I built there was just that size for a bunch of reasons. One of them is so that we could put the temple complex to Bast in there. Now, once that's up and running, Bast is not. We don't have to think about Bast again. She's done. It'd be so great if you could do that for all the gods. So here we can see we got 1 month to do 900, and we can do 400. It was tempting to go ahead and do the 900, but the problem is we don't have enough grain to get it done. So might have a little more grain farming would have been nice. I went too heavy on the flax at the beginning, and that was different. That's funny. The first two times I only built 6 flax fields and then the rest in grain. This time I did 8 flax. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I did 8 flax, and it was actually overkill, particularly with a few blessings from Ta coming in there. And look at that linen. We've got all the linen we need to export, and a lot of that is due to Ta keeping the gods happy. So, as I said, with that temple complex, now we've got Bast out of the way, and we can move on with our lives. So we see here now our three local gods are unhappy. Bast, again, we're never going to have to deal with. We're going to have to deal with the other three all the time now. And the nice thing is about this design with that big block, we can get all three gods into that block. However, that's just not enough, and I'm not ready to put out another block yet. So I decided to put a little row. I'm trying. I've had a bunch of conversations with Tom Honey about it through comments about, and I assume it's Honey. It's Honi. And Tom said, "Well, you really are abusing shrines. I've never seen anybody use so many shrines." I have to say I have. I've read write-ups of people who have used a number of shrines like the way I tend to do, or I've done them up to this point. But I did make a note of yes, temples are more efficient, except that they use people. And I find that the people are what I'm always missing. I don't have trouble with money because I focus on the money up front and make sure I've got that good export going. I have trouble with people and having enough workers. But at any rate, I'm going to try to be a good boy and use a lot of temples. So we're going to just set up this. Well, right now we're going to go shrines, okay? Because we don't have the head count to go people, so we're going to set up a kind of little shrine row here, classic Attican shrine row, and so I put in that road and an architect so we could space it out and put some shrines in here and appease these local gods at least for a while. So we're going to do three shrines to each one, and that should keep them happy for a little while. That 21 by 9 rectangle there where the temple complex is was that size specifically so that we could put a city palace in there next to it. And you'll see later why. But I wanted to get the taxation early. Remember, our strategy for money is the linen export early, and then the taxation. And taxation will end up being, it'll be our main economy all the way through. Now it's time to add entertainment to our big block up here. And I did this in a way that we could put two pavilions and a bandstand up there at the top. So you got two booths as you come in, juggler's booths. Then at the other end, you've got two pavilions and connected by a bandstand. And the idea is that because the only entry into that block is right in the middle, that down there on the left of our screen. If you're going to go to one of the sets of pavilions, you'll go to the right. If you're going to the other one, you'll go to the left because that's the shortest walk, and that way you get coverage for all your people, in addition to the coverage you get from the walkers from the juggler's booth just walking around town. So a couple of things flew by there. One is we opened up the trade route to Buhin because they will sell us barley, and we set up a beer business down here in our working area, our industry area. And I started down here to set up another section. I was thinking, let's do the bricks down here and build our monuments down here. But then I thought, no, we need a lot of straw for the bricks, and would like to make quite a few bricks. So I decided to move up to the north with that. And so we're going to start another block. We're going to do a small Senator work block up to the north and set that up for some grain farming so that we can produce more food and to give us the straw that we need, and set up some limestone quarries and some clay pits and brickworks. And you'll see that unfold here shortly. And we'll get into starting to prepare for building those two mud brick pyramids and the Sphinx that we have to build. Now we're going to take advantage of the fact that we're over here on this other side of the river where the reeds are, and start up our papyrus business. Also, of course, we've got houses now that have evolved to the place where they can use the reeds to further evolve into common residences. So we're going to set up papyrus business. Now, an alternative way, since we moved over there to that side of the river so quickly, we could have also put the reeds and papyrus in earlier and exported the papyrus. That's a perfectly good thing to do, and could have done that. Probably could have exported papyrus all the way through this playthrough and just never did. So we're going to put a scribal school in that big block up there. We've got the papyrus set up. We'll set up storage for it, and then we'll be able to evolve those houses up to common residence. You can see here we're starting to prepare that first pyramid. We've laid down that medium mud brick pyramid, connected it by road. We're starting to make the bricks, and we've got the limestone going. And what we're going to do is get some workers to prepare that, to flatten it out and level it, and in preparation for getting our guilds in there, our stonemasons, our bricklayers, our carpenters, so that we can start the monument construction. And we've got added a storage yard to get limestone to pull it down there closer to the monuments. We're actually mining it up there to the upper left of our screen, and yeah, that's about it. So once they finish digging that out and getting it ready, we'll get our construction guilds in there, and we'll start working on our monuments. So since you've hung with us this far, I just thought I would share with you right after this. I'm going to share with you kind of the thought process I went through for the design of this, and kind of coming to terms with the differences between Pharaoh and Pharaoh New Era in terms of how to get a culture rating. And just quickly share with you the spreadsheet that I set up to help me get a handle on that. All right, so I set up a spreadsheet, of course. What else would I do? To help me kind of get a grip on what does all this really mean to us. And I set up a little block planner that said, okay, if you take housing up to common residence, you're going to get 80 people per house. And the block that I was envisioning with all this other stuff in it, you could get 21 houses. So that's 1,680 people that you would get. But an important thing to realize is that that's not 1,680 workers. That's only, at best, like 40 to 50% of that workforce. So I set it at 40, 672. And as your population ages, that number gets smaller and smaller because you end up with children and old people and not enough people in the middle who can work for you. So we start out with, let's say we start out with 600, 700 people. Well, to evolve a house, and to have normally build it without thinking about the culture, this is kind of what you'd need. You would need, with this design that I've got, the firehouses, architects, et cetera, I'm not even sure you need 2 architects. It's probably overkill. But the rest of this is all pretty good to keep these gods happy at 1,680. So this is just kind of playing, quote, normal, unquote. And then to set up a linen industry, you would need like 145 people, fire, architecture, a work camp, so a bunch of weavers, and some storage yards for flax and linen. So there's your deal with 202 and 145. That's what, 350-ish people out of your 672. But if you go for the full culture, when you're going for the culture rating, what this block really needs to do is have all of this, which means it needs 3 scribal schools, not 1. It needs a couple of libraries. It's going to need an extra pavilion, an extra bandstand, an extra booth, an extra dance school, an extra conservatory, a couple of extra juggler schools potentially to have enough venues and enough entertainment going to keep that entertainment fulfilled for your culture. Now you're talking, instead of 202 people, you're talking 376. Well, 376 out of this, if you think about an industry's 145, 150, say 100, 150 to set up one of your industries, there's not a lot else you can do other than have all your entertainment and your education and stuff. So if you want a cultured city, there's a point where you have to be really back off of how much other work you do. So that kind of informed the strategy here. And what I decided to do was to build the city such that we were getting the work done before we worried too much about the culture. So we put in the infrastructure for the culture, like the entertainment venues, because I wanted to build the blocks, but didn't worry so much about keeping the culture rating going as much as keeping the workers going. And I ended up, just spoiler alert, I ended up short on people most of the time, but not dramatically, just enough to slow things down a little. But get the work done, particularly get those monuments built and get all that done, and then move over to getting rid of those workers and moving them into entertainment jobs. And so, so you really have this kind of worker city, getting the work done, building the monuments, and then turning to culture. It's very hard to have both in any strong numbers because of the very stringent requirements that are now placed upon us in order to hit our culture goals. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Pharaoh, A New Era video. Thank you.